Hi, and welcome to the What's New in GibbsCAM 2016 webcast. My name is Chris McBain, and I'm going to be the presenter today. I wanted to go over just a few slides really quick, nothing really major, just I wanted to give an overview of what we're going to see today so everybody kind of has an idea of what's in store. If you have any questions during this, you can go ahead and type them on the right-hand side in the questions panel, and I'll get to them as soon as I can, or somebody. We're going to have a bunch of tech guys online to answer your questions. If you don't have a chance to ask a question today, please feel free to reach out to your local reseller or give GibbsCAM technical support a call. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So we've really made some updates to look and feel the software to make it a bit more modern. This may not actually help you in your day-to-day, but you know what? It's pretty to look at, right? So let's go on to some other stuff. We've made improvements to our turning package by adding the ability to set tool orientation in relationship to the part. I'm also going to show some new stuff in VolueMill, and you're now able to import product manufacturing data, PMI. Machining multiple contours is now a lot easier, and there's a complete overhaul to the thread milling package inside of GibbsCAM. There's tons of 5-axis things that are new, and now in Advion you can actually create turning tools and model those up for GibbsCAM. So I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and get started. Again, if you have any questions, shoot them out, I'll get them to you. So I wanted to start with oriented turning. Oriented turning is kind of a blanket term that we use to describe the way we orientate the tool in relationship to the cutting axis. What I mean is, before, if we had a tool and an axis and we had to rotate either one of those, we could definitely do it, but what we've done now is we've made it a lot easier to move that tool in relationship to that turning axis. Let me show you. I know it sounds a little confusing, but let me show you what that means. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to play this one tool path here. So we can see that as this tool comes in, it's lined up with the part, even though that tailstock or the subspindle is rotated, that tool stays there. And let's see how that's defined. So if I come over to the tool, we can see that the tool's lined up vertically. But as we look over here, it's lined up to the part. The way we do that is right here in the operation. If you have this capability in your machine, you're going to have this rotate tab. So we can see that right away the tool isn't in that vertical position that is dictated in the tool dialog. It's actually in relationship to the part. So I'm going to go ahead and change it. Say, I don't know, we'll say 30 degrees. You can see as soon as I do that, that tool changes the angle in relationship to that part. So let me go ahead and hit redo. Okay, so now we can see, oh, that happened really fast. Let me go ahead and rewind that. But you can see right away that now it's that easy. So now that tool is actually rotated at that angle as it comes in and cuts. There's that 30-degree angle. So this is great, but what does this mean for people that may not have a machine that's this complex? What this means is you can use actually the same tool in your turret on the main spindle and the sub spindle by just changing the angle of, or the oriented angle of the tool. So let me show you that really quick. Let me shoot over to this Mazak that I have. So here we have tool number 2. Here it is defined. That's the cutting angle, all that other stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and play this. So where you can see that, okay, great, it's going on the main spindle, it's doing its cutting. Fantastic. So we can see now that when it comes around to the sub spindle after the transfer, that same exact tool is going to come by and it's going to make that cut. So we can see that it's the exact same tool in the exact same position, except on this tool path, we actually have it rotated at -90 degrees. So when I play this, you can see that it's going to just come up and do that cut. So you don't have to create another tool or, rotate or do some trickery in there. So these are just a few things that oriented turning's going to help you guys out if you have any of these situations on your machines. I got a quick question here that came across. Bob in Houston asked, do I need to redefine my tools? The answer is no. You can use the exact same tools you're using now. You just change the angle in the operation. So it's going to save you some time. You don't have to go through and remodel all your tools. Okay, great. So I wanted to move on and show you a little bit of what's new in Volume Mill. All right, let me flip over to my Volume Mill model here really quick. So I wanted to show you some really cool stuff that's new in Volume Mill. And again, if you have a seat of GibbsCAM already, you have Volume Mill. Every seat of GibbsCAM comes with Volume Mill for wireframe. And if you want to utilize the solids, you can upgrade to the solids package of Volume Mill also. So I wanted to show you a couple things here. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on this. Let's go ahead and look at a top view of this model. So a couple things that are new, it's hard to, Volume Mill is such an interesting toolpath. It's hard to explain what it used to look like and what it looked like now. There's a couple examples on our website what this looked like in 2015 compared to now. But just to explain it a little bit, what GibbsCAM 2016 will do is it's going to make these big spiral moves in these large pockets wherever it can, and it's going to utilize these D slots all the way through uneven pockets. So it's not going to, come over here and do volume mill and then shoot over here and then back and forth. It's going to make this nice continuous tool path. Another thing that's really cool is you can see this is what's called D slotting. It comes through and makes these kind of D shapes. It'll come around on an angle and then it'll actually wrap it across and then come around on that curve and then come across. When we're roughing, we may want to just go back and forth. So right here now we have this what's called back and forth. So let's go ahead and just redo it. So we can see as soon as I do that back and forth, those long rapids that go across the part pretty much disappear. Because what it's doing now is it's cutting here, and then it's just rapiding, and then it's coming back and doing conventional cut, and then it's coming down and doing a climb cut conventional. So, if it's roughing. So if you want to go climb conventional, if finish isn't a real big issue for you, you get a nice sharp tool, you can go ahead and do that. This is a really great time saver for me when I'm roughing out big blocks of aluminum, things like that. One of the biggest additions in 2016 when it comes to volume mill is the inclusion of this technology expert. This is this right here. So this used to be an add-on that you would download for free from the Volume Mill website. Now it's actually included inside of our interface. So we can see here that, let me move this over a little bit. All of these values are linked right inside of our feeds and speeds. Here we have our maximum spindle speed, our feed rate, things like that. We can just check or uncheck and then apply it. So we can say, apply check, and here my feed rate comes down, my spindle speed comes down. Here's my workpiece holding. This will adjust. You can see as I slide this over, it's going to adjust my feed rate and things like that. Let's go ahead and apply checked. You can see now that 95.24. And again, so it all depends. It has a whole list of the most common, I mean, we all know we all do different stuff, but cut stuff, like, the materials that are being cut, alloy steel, all kinds of different aluminum, stainless. Here, let's just do stainless, some kind of crazy stainless, say with a 40 taper. And I'm going to, let's go ahead and check all and apply all. You can see that now all of my feeds and speeds are all within the range that I've set here. Okay, so right inside, because if those of you that have used volume mill, you know that the feeds and speeds are very important to get right in order to get the most out of that toolpath strategy that you can. I've talked to some people that have used a volume mill and they say, I really don't see a difference. Chances are the reason you don't see a difference is because you're not utilizing the speeds and feeds that you're able to do using volume mill and this technology expert that's now included right inside of the operation right here. It's going to really help you get the most out of volume mill. So, I suggest, give it a try. Go into if you next time you need to rough something, go into technology expert, set all of the settings that that are available to you. hit apply, and then see what you get as far as a feed and speed and give it a whirl. Okay. So that's volume mill. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, let's go ahead and close this down, is now we can actually import PMI or product manufacturing information straight from certain files. Let me go ahead and just open that up real quick. I'm going to come here. Let me go open up a new window. There's our new fancy splash screen there, GibbsCAM 2016. All right. So now we can come here and say File Open. And we have these translators. So now we're able to utilize the spatial translators. We don't like to use the word translator because it's really not translating. It's really a data information. It's relaying data to us. So, file readers. So we have these file readers. So now this ACIS SAT is included. All you have to do is re-register your software. There's a little guide. It's really easy. It's just a few clicks through the preferences to re-register. There's actually a video available on our website to walk you through that, but literally it's just a couple clicks. So you get that file reader for free, but you can also purchase the spatial translator. So when you do the spatial translator and you read in step files or unit graphics files, or CATIA v5 file. So there's a CATIA spatial right here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to open up those. Let's see, maybe I'll open up this one. Let's click OK to that. Okay, so this is what we get when it comes in. So let me zoom in here real quick. So there's a lot of information on the screen, right? So you can see, you look at this and oh my gosh, what's view A, view B? Here's a bunch of GD&T, or, as I referred to before, PMI information for this part. How do we sort this out? So when you import a part that has PMI, if we go up here to the upper left-hand corner where it says show dimensions, you'll see there's a little black arrow that points down. So we can hit here and say, you know what, let's turn off PMI. Okay, let's go ahead and let's turn off geometry for right now because we don't really need that. We have our whole centers shown. We can turn those off too. But if I want to go ahead and show the PMI, let's hit show PMI. There it is. So how do we organize this? It's really easy. So if we come to show PMI, first off, there's a bunch of views here that are predetermined by the CAD designer. So we can actually go through these. These are actually imported through that file reader. So there's a bunch here, left front. But let's say we wanted to pick what we wanted to see. So let's go ahead. We're going to say, let's show all PMI for right now. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say manage PMI. So when I hit manage PMI, I get a whole list of all of the GD&T data on this. Here's datums. If I want to turn off all the datums, I just click this. Maybe I want the datums, maybe I don't, no big deal. Geometric tools. Let's say I don't really need dimensions right now. All I'm really interested in the positioning, perpendicularity, surface, profile tolerance, things like that. I can go ahead and hit that, and this is my custom view. So in here, you can also hide everything, show everything, or custom. I'm going to say custom view. So now you can see what it looks like. I can actually come up here and say show all PMI, or you know what, I want to go back to that custom view. So not only can you import all this information, but you can actually manipulate it a little bit. You can't change it, obviously, because it's tied to the part, but you can show it, hide it, change it. You can turn on what you want to see, what's important to you for that manufacturing process, and maybe turn off what maybe isn't important to you, maybe like this title block or something like that. So again, that's for step files, CATIA v5 files, and UG files. With the spatial translator, you can go ahead and open up files that have this product manufacturing information on there. Okay. Again, I'm going to say this a couple times during this. If you have any questions on anything that I'm covering, or if I'm going a little bit too fast, this is going to be posted on our website right after the broadcast. But you can also reach out to GibbsCAM Technical Support or give a call to your local reseller. Oh, I just got a question that came through. Tim asks, can we add GD&T data to the model? The answer is yes. You can still add to the model in GibbsCAM using the dimensioning tools and things like that. It's not going to be tied to the model, but you can add to it if you need to add information. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. The next thing I want to talk about is the additions to multiple contours. This is something that, anybody that has GibbsCAM milling can definitely benefit from. So let me go ahead and open up that file real quick. All right, let me just flip over to the example really quick. Let's go ahead. We're going to start with this one. So here I have some multiple contours that I just drew up in Gibbs really quick. So you can imagine if these are bosses or holes, obviously you're going to do them different, right? I mean, if you do a boss, you're going to machine on the outside. If it's a hole, it's going to be on the inside. If you get that confused, well, you're in bigger trouble than I can help you with. So let's go ahead and talk about how we program these multiple contours. So before what you would have to do is, let's go ahead and, I'll just start a new contour operation here with this tool. So, you would do this, you'd pick the first one, and then great, you want to go outside, inside, or on. Those of you that have used GibbsCAM before know this. If you're seeing it for the first time, this is how you dictate the side of the geometry that the tool is going to be on. But as soon as I'm holding down the control key, as soon as I click on another one, you can see that those options go away. So before we'd have to do one at a time, combine them all, bring them over. But now what we can do is we have this thing called the offset. So how do I want to machine each one of these contours? So always use marker for single shape. So that was what that was. That's the marker for single shape. Do I want to cut on the center line of each one of these? I can do that. So if I go ahead and click do it, and then look at the top view, you can see that it clicks on this, it goes on the center line. And right over here, you can see that it created an operation for each one of those. I can say, you know what, I want to offset it. I want to cut on the inside of each one of those. Let's go ahead and redo that. Actually, before I rotate this and give everybody a headache, let's just go ahead and look at the top view of this. There we go. Or I can say, you know what, I want to cut on the outside of this. You can see that it cuts on the outside. Direction, so climb left, conventional right. So, it's as it drives around, you want it going left or right. So if I do climb milling, I can do conventional right, redo, and you can see that it switches the direction. So now it's actually conventional cutting as it comes around that part. All right. And down here we can set the start and end extensions, really easy. So here's alternate side for nested shapes. Let me show you that really quick. That's my next example here. Here it is. So on this one, let me go ahead and just click this. So what I want to do is I want to cut, this is a boss. All right, let's go ahead and just look at this as I play this around and speed it up so we're not here all day. So what I want to do is I want to cut that square out of that part, right? So I want to contour around that. Again, before we had to do the outside one and then the inside one, all this other stuff. But now I can say, if I go, again, all I did is I double clicked on the process, pulled this up. Now, whenever we do contouring, we have this offset tab. All right, so we're going to say offset, alternate sides for nested shapes. So here it's cutting on the outside of the outer one, and the nested shape is the inside, so it cuts on the inside. If I unclick that, let's go ahead and look at the top view of this and hit redo. You can see it cuts both on the outside or it cuts on the inside, redo. Alternate for nested shapes, do it. So did you guys, I don't know if you noticed that was really, really quick, but when I first started this, I said cut on the outside and alternate side for nested shapes. So it cuts on the outside of the outer one and then the inside of the inner one. If this was a track, say for instance, I don't know, a gasket race here that we wanted to cut out, we can say, you know what, cut on the inside, redo it. So now we can see, let's go ahead and look at an isometric of this and simulate it. So I click on this, it says skip unselected ops. So I just want to simulate the selected operations. There we go. So there it is. Now, obviously there's these little nubs in the corner because I'm doing a contour. This isn't a rough. If I wanted to, go through, I could definitely come here and add some passes to it. But just for this, I just wanted to show you how we change this offset, cut inside, cut outside, or alternate side for nested shapes. This is a really cool thing, really fast, especially if you're dealing with 2D geometry and you don't have solids to go off of. This is a really great solution. So from there, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about thread milling. All right, let's use this one to show the new thread milling operations. So a bunch of new stuff here. One of the most important things, I think, is the fact that now when you do thread milling, the operation window looks more in line with the rest of the operation windows across GibbsCAM. Before it was its own kind of little thing, and it was a little different, but now we've brought it to the forefront and made it a little bit easier to understand. So what I'm going to go over right now is external threads, but it's same goes if you're milling internal threads also. So a couple things we can do here is we can vary depth with geometry. This is pretty important if you're doing a lot of these little hole features here. If those hole features have different depths, you can vary the depth depending on the geometry of the hole feature. That's a big one. Right here, I'm doing an external, so this doesn't really count, but rapid to and from clearance diameter. If you're machining out a thread that's got a really big diameter and your tool's kind of a smaller diameter, instead of coming to the center of the tool and just kind of like feeding over, and then start doing the cutting, it'll actually rapid to that clearance plane instead of that long feed and start cutting. So that's going to cut down a lot of time, especially if you have a lot of holes. It used to drive me crazy watching that tool just kind of feed over. Couple other things too I wanted to show is tools. This is really important. So now when we define tools, we've actually added this full profile or multi-tooth thread mill as an option. So if I come here, I can zoom in. Let me zoom in down here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So for those of you that don't know, you can as you see here, you can modify. I'm holding down my control key and moving it, just like in the regular Gibbs model. You can look at this. So here we can have, we have 10 teeth. One of the nice things here is it can support pretty much any number of teeth that you have and to create that thread. So again, this is an external, so I don't know, we'll say 10 teeth. Let's come over here. It also supports different styles. British standard taps, Whitworth 55 degrees. Being totally honest, I have no idea what that is. But I've never used it. I mean, I know what it is, but I've never used it. NPT, ISO, things like that. Here we can say for the taper, we can have a straight, or again, the British pipe thread, or the NPT, the standard pipe threads. Or we can actually come in here and say other, and then give it a specific angle, say 5 degrees or whatever. As you can see that it shows, it reflects it right inside of the model, whatever that is. And the nice thing is if I come here and say it's an NPT, it automatically calculates that angle for me, so I don't have to trig that out or look up in my book or whatever the case may be. All right, so let's go ahead and just change these back to the standard straight. So I'll show you what it looks like when we render this. And one thing I want to point out too is, especially on internal threads, if you put that angle, like say for instance a pipe thread or something, you have that angle, you don't have to figure out the step over that. The hole will be tapped on that angle, and that angle is dictated by the angle of the tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're just going to play that really quick. That was really fast, so let me rewind it. So let me slow it down a little bit so we can see now it just kind of comes in and does that. So, again, we're able to do, you were able to do this before, but it's a lot more straightforward as far as, defining the tool and also how the tool interacts with that thread, both internal and external threads. Again, if you have any questions on this stuff that I'm covering, please, reach out to GibbsCAM support or, give your reseller a call. So someone noticed very astutely that I did multiple passes on that thread. Yes, that's absolutely true. Thank you so much, Chuck, for pointing that out. This was something we weren't able to do before, and now we are able to do that in GibbsCAM 2016. Constant load, multiple step over, it's all doable. So hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and we're going to move on. I just got a couple more things to cover. I want to talk about some of the additions. There's been a bunch of additions to 5-axis milling. Let me just show you some of those really quick. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to use the same model for that. Let me go ahead and just move it around. I'm going to hide a couple of things that we don't need for stuff that we used here for threading. I don't need that anymore. Come on, you get in there. All right, let's just set up this part real quick. Put an isometric view. Let's turn off some of the stuff I'm not going to use. And I want to show the 5-axis. Here we go. Okay, so in GibbsCAM 2016, we are now able to do a lot more stuff when you're dealing with surfaces and 5-axis. There's some really great additions. There's tons of other stuff when you're doing like triangle mesh machining, port machining. There's some new stuff there too. I'm not going to have time to go over that stuff. So if you have any questions, just reach out and we can do a one-on-one demo or something for you. But let's go over just the surface stuff right now. So I have this basic surfacing toolpath. So you can see it's just parallel cuts going back and forth. You know, this was my bread and butter when I was doing 5-axis. What we've added is for the extend trim. Let me show you the extend trim here really quick. For those of you that have used this before, you can see right away that the menu has changed a little bit. Now we have tangential. I always goof up on that word. My tongue gets in the way. And then side extensions. Let me show you what that is. So we've always been able to extend the tool path to the sides. So on a tangent from the tool path, you hit redo. So this is nothing new, right? So we can do that. We can extend that. You know, one thing that I wanted to show too, some of you may know this. If you've done this, I think you do, but there's this little checkbox here. Say extend trim gaps. Now, some people get a little confused what that does. Let me show you. This is a really great example of what that does. So if I come here and say, you know what, let's not extend trim gaps, click OK and redo, you can see that it only extends it on the outside of the surfaces, not the gaps in between the surfaces. This is a really good example of this. I may not use it here. Really, you know, one of the times you would use this is if you have the surfaces that are really close together, or maybe there's a wall surface or maybe something in the way here if you're doing like outside surfaces. But just wanted to show that. That's not new. That is in the 2015 also. But I just wanted to show really quick what that does. All right, so there's that. So let me show you the new stuff. So I'm going to come over here and here's the side extensions. So I'm going to just go ahead and put in 100 thou for each one of those and hit redo. And now you can see that we can actually extend those tool paths on the top and the bottom, not just tangentially. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. So that's new. That's a really cool addition. Another really neat thing that is added, let me show you really quick. Instead of parallel cuts, down here we have flow line. Now what flow line does, it will create a tool path using the geometry that is embedded inside of the surface. They're called UV directions. If you look at the picture here on your screen, if you've ever done surface machining, you'll see that each surface has this kind of like cross pattern. These are called UV lines. So what flowline does, it actually follows, and every surface has UV lines, even if you can't see them, but it actually follows those UV lines. So let me just click do it here. So this is a really great way to get a really nice tight 5-axis tool path on a more maybe complex surface. Now this will only work on one surface at a time. Let me turn off extend trim and redo it. There we go. So if you wanted to do this surface, then that would be another tool path to follow that flow line. So that's just another thing that's new with surface machining inside of 5-axis. Another thing, if any of you guys use Mirror a lot, the mirror option is now available throughout the 5-axis toolpaths, whether it's roughing or finishing. So we can go ahead and just mirror toolpaths if we need to do that. That's new too. Again, there's a bunch of other stuff that's new in GibbsCAM 2016 when it comes to 5-axis. I just don't have a lot of time to go over it today. Again, please reach out if you need some more information on that. So next I want to talk about Advion and the Advion tool library. This is a really great tool. If you guys haven't used it, you should really check it out. It's excellent for modeling your tools. I know that, from what I understand, not a lot of people, I wouldn't say not the majority of people, a lot of people do model tools, but this is a really easy way to get a really accurate model of your tool. So let me go ahead and just open that up real quick. Just switch over to the window here. There it is. So this is what the Advion tool library is. What it is it's a library of tools. It lists all the tools from the Sandvik Core library, and it has 3D models and order numbers and all this really great stuff. If you haven't utilized this yet, you should really take a second, check it out. Give us a call. We'll help you get hooked up. It's really great. So let's just go ahead and list all my assemblies. These are assemblies that I have created inside of my database. So right away, if you've used Advion before, you can see one big difference right now is the turning tools. This is a huge addition for the Advion tool library for us, as we can now define tools. So as you can see here, I can actually list assemblies. I'm going to go over a quick of what Advion is before I really get into creating a new tool and a new turning tool and things like that. Here's an assembly that I already created. It has a holder, it has a tool, it shows you how much it's sticking out of the holder, corner chamfers, functional length. Here we can just scroll down here. You can change all this stuff. Here's a 2D drawing of the part of it. Here's the assembly number. And of course, we can always export this to CAM. So you can actually make this tool and export it right into GibbsCAM. You see down here, it says exporting to CAM. It's validating, and then it's went ahead and exported it. So now if we go ahead and we open up that GibbsCAM window, let's shoot back to that. So right here, I go to my Advion tool manager. So let's see the end mills that I have. Here's that tool. I want to go ahead, look over here in my tool list. So here I have 4 tools. I want to import that tool. There it is, tool number 5. And when I pull this up, there it is. I mean, it has everything. It has the tool, the holder, everything is comes right in from that Advion tool library. So let's go ahead and open that up again. So let me show you really quick. Let's go ahead and show you. I'll just show you really quickly how to make a new assembly. So here's my drilling. If I want to do drilling, tapping, milling, and turning. So let's go ahead and click on turning real quick. It's a real easy wizard. So you can start with the tool or the insert, whichever you want to do, or the adapter. So let's go ahead and we're just going to start with the tool. So first thing we do is we pick a tool. I don't know, let's just pick this one. It says, okay, so I don't need this, is 0 of 0, but I have 20 matching items that could fit in that particular, or inserts that can fit inside of that particular holder. All right. So there's a bunch of things. I can go off of the catalog or my items. Here's everything out of the catalog. So the nice thing here is, here you can see it has the number, the identification number, and the order number for it if you want to go ahead and order it. Let's just, I don't know, let's pick this one here. Here it is, new item ID. Here's the description, Tmax Tmax insert for turning. There we go. Let me go ahead and copy that to my items. So now next time when I go ahead and need to create this, it's all right there. So once I have this 3D model, I can zoom it in, I can rotate it around. It gives me a nice little picture of what this is. So I can say, okay, let's go to my next setting. So here I can go ahead and just name it. We'll say this is generic turning tool. Description, I use this every day, whatever you want that description to be. External tool, it tells me what it is. And again, this is all interactive. We can sit here, we can actually zoom in and out to the 2D drawings. here, you click over here, you can actually see what the angle is. So the connection diameter, I don't know what that would be, 20 or something, I don't know, whatever it is. We come down here and we can say save changes. And once we save the changes, we can go ahead and just export that over to GibbsCAM. So there's my generic turning tool. So here's my tool items, all categories. There's all of my tools. Okay. So if you have any questions about Advion, again, give us a call.